All right, Bannock County Commissioners are now in session. First item on our agenda is an ambulance district.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we enter into the Board of Ambulance.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask you to.
Sorry, she doesn't have her hearing.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. We'll walk past that.
Thank you.
Do I?
Go out there for a minute.
Huh?
If you're going to talk, you need to go out with Scott.
She doesn't have her hearing needs.
That way.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I'll just
All right, Board of Ambulance. Have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the only item on there is to pay our bill to the city of Pocatello.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the invoice as presented and exit the Board of Ambulance.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next, we'll go into Commissioner's Report, invoices. And,
Maybe Jason would know on that.
Yeah.
Charge.
on the credit card, Jason. When I was going through there, I just noticed that we had fraudulent card charges. Did you know anything about that?
No, I hadn't heard about that.
Okay. It looked like we got paid back, but didn't know if it was a single card or what was going on, or,
I don't know. I'll ask Christy when I see her at noon
okay.
and see what they are.
That was the only thing I had on the credit card one. On the other invoices, or the Commissioner's report, so the delinquent filings that we did, and we had to put it in the paper for 4 filings, it was $2,300. I just think that we need to talk to the legislature and get that corrected, get it so that we can put that on our webpage or whatever, instead of, I mean, $2,300 for 4.
Well, let me blow your doors off then, because it's twice that for the publishing that we had to do for this election for the primary, because there's so many ballots and it's so big. It was about $4,000 for our publishing in the paper.
So
And we have to do it.
And I'm not disagreeing with that. I think the paying for the ballots and stuff is, in the paper's probably more appropriate than.
I agree.
I think they're two separate issues, but yeah.
I just think that all of there's going to be how many hundreds of people that see it in the paper and thousands of people that see it online, or that even just come into the office.
Yeah.
It's just expensive.
Well, even if we put 2 or 3 lines in there that says, for reference, this is online at this site.
Something, yeah.
Something that, then we're covering both ends, but to have to print the whole thing out, it's expensive. And then I talked to Hal, the other one was stormwater yearly permits. They pay the federal government $10,000, that's half of what we actually owe. The city of Pocatello actually pays about $90,000. And so those were the only 2 items I had. Anybody else have items?
On that.
Okay. And then here's our invoices.
Just like that one.
Looks like we got the roof completed at the Veterans Memorial Building. And this one, the SIF, they'll actually divide it out to each department that has it later, but that's why it doesn't have a code on it.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the invoices as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have, this is an internship approval for an individual at the village.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the internship request for the village.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then we have payroll, period April 20th through May 3rd.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the payroll report.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Scott, you're up.
Good morning, Commission. Scott Crowther, Event Director, Business Manager. And this is Terry Payne with Idaho's.
No, I'm
oh,
Norma Bunce.
Sorry, this is Norma. Norma Bunce.
Yeah.
Sorry. So she represents the Idaho State Rodeo Association. Every few years, the State Rodeo Association will hold a state competition in the indoor arena. And would you like to tell them about the event a little bit?
Well, I represent the Idaho Riding Association. It consists of 11 groups right now. My group is the chaparrals. We will be the ones that will be, how do I say?
Hosting?
Pardon?
Hosting?
Yes, the meet. And we don't charge for people to come in. It's free. Anybody can come, and usually the people that come are old members or in families and some members of the community. Other than that, it's just these clubs. They do a gymkhana, and then at night they do a precision parade and drill. And that's about what we do. We start about 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and we usually wind up about 4 o'clock for a break, and then we come back and do a parade and a drill, which is a precision riding. Each one of the clubs that has won their district will be represented, because what we're doing this time is the state meet. There's the northern clubs and there's the southern clubs, and the winners from each one of these clubs come and do participate in the state meet. And like I say, we're nonprofit, actually. We would only want to maybe have the fairgrounds work the arena in the morning before we get started with the games and the gymkhana type thing. And then in the evening, maybe before the parade, because we parade right in front of the grandstand. And then they do the precision drill, and then we have some gymkhana in the evening. Usually we end up about 11:30 at night. And we were wondering if we have done this before, cleaned up the arena and cleaned up after the shows. So we would be glad to do that. Any other questions that I might have? We will need to use that booth that's not the one that they used to use for the cutter races, but the other one. And maybe we just might need to use some of your audio equipment for that. That's about it, really.
So the fee for that's $500, and that includes all the stuff that's up at the grandstands. They have had the fees waived in the past. Norma and I talked a little bit about a fee reduction rather than a fee waiver, just to kind of cover some of our costs. And so we would ask for like a 50% fee reduction, so $250, so that will at least cover our cost of going up and actually running the tractors and doing that kind of stuff.
How much time does it take you guys to groom that and get it ready for them?
We're probably maybe an hour. I mean, it depends on how hot it is, but usually in about an hour. And for the parades that they run through the front, that's really fast. So the second grooming at night's really pretty quick for us. But that's usually covered in that I think we'd be able to cover that fee. So
You think the 250 will do it then?
and then also we did ask about increasing the insurance from 100,000 to $1 million to just be more in line with our standard practices, and they do have that insurance.
And what?
They do have that insurance coverage.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Would we need to let you know or show you the form that for the $1 million? Will we have to get that and show it to you?
Yeah, you can just show our
Show it to
staff.
Scott.
Yeah, you can show our staff.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we need to charge something. I mean, that facility is utilized a lot, with us donating a lot, and where we're bringing people from all over the state. I don't feel like it's Bannock County's responsibility or obligation to provide free stuff all the time. So, at a minimum, I'd say $250, but any comments?
Nope. I'm good with the 250 if you're comfortable with that.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the ISRA contract with a 50% fee reduction. So that would be a fee of $250.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
All right, we have a motion.
We're done.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Now, do I bring the insurance thing up to the
Just
fair?
Yep.
Okay, and give it to Annie or
Yep,
you?
Annie.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, so the next contract I have for you guys is the contract for the Interscholastic Cycling League. And we've ran this a couple of years in a row now. Okay, well.
I'm Alex. Met you guys last year.
So they do tent camping up in the area we have come to refer to as Mystic Gardens, up in that top corner. And then they use the facility, for their ride. You want to talk a little bit about the event?
Yeah, really, from, I guess, Mystic Gardens or whatever you're calling it, that parking lot, we'd allow campers. And then I have 4Js bringing a whole bunch of porta potties over to take care of that problem. And then we also run the shuttle buses from that location, from that parking lot. So we just need a shuttle bus running from there over to the McNabb property, which is, what, mile and a half out there, just back and forth all day long, just so we can have a place to park.
You didn't have any problems last year? Things run
No,
smoothly?
I think this is a great event. I mean, we've done it a couple years in a row now, and it brings a little bit of variety, but to the event center, and I think it's just a great opportunity for us too.
I think a lot of people actually vote to just stay in hotels, so it wasn't all that full last year. But
Good. Any questions on this one?
No, I'm good with that.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the rental agreement with the Intermountain Cycling League as requested. Interscholastic, excuse me.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. How many real quick, how many attendees did you have last year?
so I think we had 800 riders, maybe 1,600 participant, with the parents and family and stuff.
And then where all are you riding, just up the McNabb property?
It's all on the McNabb. It's all on his private property.
Yeah, that's a good course up there.
Yeah. Like to get it expanded up into the BLM there, but they're still working that problem out.
What, is this like the end of the high school season race, or is this just a,
It's just one of the 7.
okay,
One of the 7. So it's a drop race, so to say. So there's 7 events. First one and last one are all comers, and then the middle one's because of size. So it's not very big out there. So we limit the number of participants.
how much, what kind of mileage do you need? Or would you like?
4 to 5, 6 miles, laps. You know, for example, I guess I'm also doing the mountain bike race out at City Creek
Yeah.
this weekend. And, you know, that's just a whole different, so it's only 100 people. And so it's a 20-mile course.
Right. Okay. Okay, thanks.
Anyway. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, the two other things I had to talk about, I believe, were the sod project, and then the Idaho Power parking lot option that I wanted to kind of run by you guys. So the sod project, we went and looked at the grass out at Century High School. It's the same sod that we currently have on our field, the same blend, that sports blend. We brought up, we met with Joe from Idaho Sod. He came up and looked at it. He's the one that installed our original fields.
Is that the championship field?
Yes,
or-
the championship field. So in measuring out the two lots, the grass available at Century would not cover just our championship field. We'd have to throw in, I think it's 15,000 square feet additional, because it's a 2-acre field. And the sod that's out there, we couldn't cut with a hand cutter because it falls apart. So you have to cut it with a net. They run a net on the bottom of it to kind of hold it together. Idaho Sod could come, or Pocatello Sod could come out and do that for us. We'd have to get a roller, like like just a big compactor from Road and Bridge, and go and roll the field first to reduce a little bit of the costs. And then they would come out with their cutter, which cuts 4-foot by 100-foot rolls, and to have them cut it and deliver it to our location is about $25,000. And then that doesn't cover the installation of it. And so, you know, to get new sod, it would be $36,000, and to have them bring in and just do all new sod, it would probably be the same price for us. So I just feel like, even though it sounds like a great idea, I just think it's too cost prohibitive to move forward. The good thing that came of this project and looking into whether or not this was feasible was we reestablished a connection with Pocatello Sod, who did do our championship field and has the ability to help us fix it and rehab it. And so we're working to try to maybe that's the direction we go. And then we also reestablished connections with the engineer that designed and built the field, Bill Jackson, and he talked to us about what everything on that field is. He gave us schematics that we hadn't had before, so now we know where all the sprinkler lines are in that field, all the electrical that's in the field, and we have explanations for, like, you know, there's a line that doesn't grow grass where it looks like people stand when they watch a game. Well, that's actually a French drain, so that's why it doesn't grow grass, but we could put some dirt on top of that and actually raise it up a little bit. The one thing we were hoping to accomplish with this was to actually reduce the arc in the field. It's a 2-inch, or I mean, it's a 2% drop, which means it drops 2 feet from the center of the field to the corner. He said we could probably drop it to a foot. We could level it out a little bit. That's something we were hoping to do. But we're actually going to try to accomplish something like that through overlaying dirt and rolling dirt ourselves, and then letting the seed kind of grow up through there. We'll most likely try to block off that field for maybe 2 months this year after flag football's over, and just rehab it and see if we can't really get that thing to take hold. I was surprised to find out that the grass in the amphitheater is the same grass on the championship field. So when you look at the amphitheater and how that grass looks compared to how the championship field looks, it doesn't even look like it's the same thing. But I think we have a better understanding of how that grass should look and how it should function with the sand base now, after having some of those conversations. And we do have the equipment to maintain it how it is intended to be maintained today. It just may take us a little bit of time to break through the soil to actually get the penetration we need to get and get that grass to take off. So as much as I would like to scalp it and level that field out, I just think that it's a, you know, like I said, it'd be a $40,000 project to do it, with throwing in some new sprinkler pipe and throwing in the new sod. And right now, I don't have that in my budget to do.
What would be the best way to rehab it? Would putting the sod over the top, scraping it, and putting the new sod
Yeah,
down?
so the whole purpose, the benefit of laying new sod down is that we could take out the arc, we could reuse that. And that would be really nice. I mean, we'd be able to level it off all the way over to the concrete on the opposite side where the little stands sit. We'd be able to level it off to there, and that would give us that arc. You'd be able to stand on one corner, and you'd still see that little bit of a bow in there. That bow does cause us some issues. It causes us some flooding issues in the volleyball courts, you know, because it flushes the water just straight down, kind of pushes them down to the volleyball courts. So if we were to scalp it, then we would just lay sod on the bare ground. We'd have to not kill, but we'd cut the old sod out with a grater, and then we'd take it over and dump it, you know, and then relay on top of the substrate. And we had to bring in a lot of dirt, which we have dirt at the complex, but now we're kind of getting into a weird thing where we're adding this specialized turf that's supposed to be on sand, and then we're going to throw in dirt with this specialized turf, so you may get softer and hard spots in the field, which we've all heard that it was built on sand and it was designed to be built on sand. So the outside edges are all Kentucky bluegrass, and in the playing fields it's that sand bed with this sports turf that's supposed to go on top. But the sports turf is supposed to be cut short, and it's supposed to be really spongy. The sand is supposed to be compacted so that people can get traction on the sand, but then they can be cushioned by the turf. So we've been mowing it wrong. Like, it's supposed to be cut short. It's supposed to be kept cut short, and it gets kind of like that spongy feel to it. And so I think if we were to go in and blade it out, we would we'd have to evaluate whether we wanted to stick with that system or just go to a straight clay base Kentucky bluegrass over the top of it. But either way, we can contract with like Pocatello Sod to grow our bald spots, and they can come up every year and fix our bald spots. They just grow the sod, and then they bring it up and we patch it every year. Which, to be honest with you, we should be doing that on all of our fields. We should just come up and do that. But
What do you think would be better for us long term? To take the sand out and go back to the dirt?
it's hard to say what like success looks like, because our Bannock fields are really good. They're really well established. But then when you look at the amphitheater grass, it's really good, but it doesn't get all of the use. When they installed the sod, they were told to keep people off it for 2 months. And Joe said, I was up here 2 days after we put the sod in and had people playing sports on it. So additionally, we didn't have the equipment when the sod was installed to even maintain it correctly. We have that equipment now. We have the vertigrain, we have the vertislicer. We're using them today. So I do feel like we can maintain those fields. But man, it's hard to argue with success that the soccer fields, the Bannock fields just grow. And so.
Do the Bannock fields, they don't experience the same pitting that we get over on the football fields and the championship field, do they?
They do. The only difference on the Bannock fields is we rotate the goals. And in the time that we rotate the goals, a lot of that pitting will grow back in. And so that's one of the things. We've never sliced or vertidrained the Bannock fields. If we did, we'd sink that thing up to its axle, because they could poke holes down to, for quite a ways in those things. But, the vertidrain up on our regular fields, it's designed to go 8 inches deep. And right now, today, we're getting about 2.5 inches to 3 inches of penetration. The first year we ran it, we maybe got 1 inch. And it's designed to go down to 8. So.
Myself, I'd like to make that a championship field, honestly. And if we need to find some monies to do that, I think that we need to get with Christie and
So in last year's budget, we set aside, and this is was part of the money that we were given for the concert stuff. We were given the $2 million for the concert stuff, and out of that $2 million, we pulled $250,000 of that ARPA funds that was set aside for one-time purchases. Last year in our budget, we moved that $250,000 out of the ARPA and we put it into PILT. So we currently have $250,000 earmarked in PILT for one-time purchases for the venue. And it was more specific to the concert stuff, but what we're looking at spending this year on that is maybe $40,000 for the pre-party area fencing. That would be permanent fencing, and then probably $15,000 to $20,000 on the barricades, the correct barricades, so that we own those rather than having to try to rent those. We just have them for the facility. So out of that $250,000, we might spend $60,000. So, but it's yeah, I don't know that, but we do have that PILT money earmarked.
Well, if we're gonna invest, I'd just invest the right amount of money to do the right thing, instead of piecemealing something.
What's Idaho Sod's recommendation and/or the original designer?
So Bill came out, again, there's so many dumb things, but when you grade it, if you grade it in what's called a closed loop or an open loop, it was designed to be a closed loop, but it was graded as an open loop. That grading creates a greater arc, right? So he says, do a closed loop. Riley is one of those dirt nerds. He knows exactly what we're talking about with that. So he recommends that we drop that down, drop that arc from a 2% to 1%. They love the fact that we're doing something, and they love the fact that they're involved in it because, as much as people point fingers at us for that grass being bad, professionally it's hurt those guys. And they've struggled in the, just to get beat up from their reputation. And they felt like from the start that it hasn't been maintained or managed well.
Could this be something we go back to the Health Trust and say, help us fix the problem?
So the Health Trust gave us $50,000 in sponsorship this year. Out of that $50,000, it was in two $25,000 check amounts. So we put $25,000 towards concert sponsorship and $25,000 towards anything we need to address on the event center side. So we could take that $25,000 and apply it to this if we choose to, or we could put it to pay down the fence, or whatever we choose to do. But anything that's a capital type improvement, we have that $25,000 we could invest in it.
Okay.
Comments?
I'll tell you, I talked with Scott about this little soccer team that I've been traveling with this year. We've played on some awesome fields down in Utah, and everywhere we go, we talk with the directors about how are these fields so nice, and what's the usage that you get. And the thing that is continuous and consistent everywhere that we've been, which is St. George to Logan to Salt Lake and Draper, is they don't let people on their fields until the middle of April. Nothing. There are no sporting events on those fields until the middle of April every year. So you have to go somewhere else to practice. You have to find some other little niche until that date, and then they'll allow practices and games. And and like Scott said, we have people on those fields early and often. Then that grass just cannot get established.
And the other thing, it's crazy stuff, but he's telling us to mow the grass every day. Mow the grass every day, it'll stimulate the growth. And so it is an investment in time for us to get out there and really make this thing work. But that's something that we've got folks that we really want to throw at this project. For the championship field, if we were to, no matter what we do with that championship field, we need to fence it off. We need to. It can't just be like a snow fencing or anything. It's literally got to be full fencing with some a little bit of information about what we're trying to accomplish. And we've already blocked it out because we had planned on working on it. We blocked it out for about a month and a half, but it's got to be 2 months. Yesterday we had nothing on the calendar for all of the Bannock fields or the wellness fields. And when I left it, I don't know, it was around 7:30 or 8 o'clock last night. Man, it was packed. Soccer games going on, football, people just use the complex. So if we don't put up a barrier, it's just gonna get used. And I love the use, I love people are using it, but we need to block it off, so.
I'll tell you what happens, and this happened last night. So our team had a game on field 1, which pushed the people that normally practice on field 1 up to field 3. And field 3 had, 3 and 4 there, or no, 2 and 3 right there. The teams that practice on those big fields got bumped off. There was another game on one of those 2 fields, and so what happens is you have all these teams that just get bumped from one field to the next, and then the overflow every single night is the wellness complex. And so PVSC has that contract with us for the Bannock side, but teams are practicing every night that there's a game. So typically on like a Monday or a Wednesday, they're practicing up there on the wellness complex side, and then there's football. And so it's heavy use.
And just to squirrel a little bit, if we're gonna utilize that facility up there, we got that big patch of nothing out from inside your office there
It's 9 acres, yeah.
that we ought to utilize somehow. I mean, it's just garbage right now. I mean, we're not doing anything with it.
So we have irrigation, we have our well irrigation that runs to that field, but our water rights go to the lake. So we do use that irrigation to drain our lines, but the big issue with anything we put out there would just be water, how we figuring out how we're.
And that's a conversation we need to have with the city of Pocatello. Because everything that everybody I've talked to, we let them out of what they were supposed to supply the water for that facility up there. And our own attorneys let them out. And so if we're gonna be in the park business, I think the city needs to
When we talked
contribute
to,
also.
when I talked to, when we met with Bill Jackson and Joe from Pocatello Sod, the first thing they asked me is, how are you gonna fix the park problem? And I said, what are you talking about? There's not enough space for the community. And I was really surprised by that, because I think, man, this is 80 acres. We have 80 acres up here, but it is utilized nonstop. So that property that you're talking about that's just on the opposite side of the where our office is at, whatever we do there will be utilized. If we put in rodeo arenas, they would be used. If we put in grass and did fields, they would be used. We would be able to rent those out. We could monetize whatever is going on in there, but there's nothing there right now.
Well, the other part about that is we have our RV parks over there. We could, like you said, whatever we put there, it would help improve the use of our RV parks, in my opinion, also.
Yeah.
Well, as a user of that field, I hate it. It hurts. It's dangerous because of the pitting that goes on. So I'm willing to spend some money to fix that and make it a championship field and keep kids off of it for a while and do that, because we do need to address that problem.
John, any conversation?
No, I'm just learning from you guys here, so.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just sitting here thinking, and Dave probably has a pretty good opinion as he wraps
been
up.
nodding his head back all the time.
Would you mind if I added a couple?
Come on up here.
Please come on up.
But I don't know that we're going to be able to fix anything on the wellness complex side until we have another option for people to use. And so honestly, figuring out how to make that 9 acres a practice field or a football field where games can rotate. So we only have field up on the the current wellness complex side in the spring or the fall, but not both. And then they play the other to give the grass, because football's hard.
Right, it is. It chews it up, no
Yeah,
doubt.
those kids come down on the line and they are digging their shoes in, and it's tough.
Football destroys fields. In an ideal world, football would be played on different places than soccer. But that championship field, I've done championship games on it. the pitch is so bad that you can't pass straight on the sides.
You have to arc it.
And the balls goes directly out of bounds. And if you're one of the side officials on that, you literally cannot see below mid shin on the person who's across the field doing the same thing you are. The pitch is that bad.
Yeah.
And one of the things, and I know you know this already, because if you talk to like some of the pro grass people, and I'm a soccer dork, so I do, they water all the time to keep those fields soft. In pro games, they water at halftime. So it's a lot of work, and it would be tremendous for the community. And I think that the big tournament that we have in the spring could be more of a destination. It's huge already, but it could be even bigger.
I think they had 150 teams this year.
Yeah.
I think it was a little bit more than that.
Was it? It
Yeah.
might have been 150 new teams. I mean, it was just a big. It was a
I
big thing.
heard, it's on our group chat. I'll look it up. 'Cause
Um,
there was a bunch. It was closer to 200.
So when we talk about the watering, just what Dave had mentioned, so that sand for the 6 to 8 years that we didn't maintain it the way it was designed, it turns into like a concrete.
Right.
And so now when we water, if we turned on the sprinklers on a championship field for 10 minutes, water would cool off and run into the volleyball courts. So as we water that stuff, it just runs down. It just runs down into the volleyball courts. So, but like I said, like the stuff we're using with the vertigrain, we're starting to punch some of those holes. But I think that, and also, the way it sits today is the way it was designed, right? They had a professional from Boise come down and tell them, you need that 2-inch, or the 2%. And when you look at it and you're like, this is how it was supposed to be, and they're like, well, we built it how we were instructed through by a professional, but it is.
It's way too much.
Yeah, and the engineer said you guys could drop to a 1%, which would still give you a foot for 100 feet. It would give you 1 foot rise.
You need some of that for a little bit of draining. But
Yeah.
And nobody should be using that field unless there's an actual event, I think. So,
Mr. Chair, what I would propose is we have Scott go put together a plan and come back next Thursday and we move forward with something, because I agree with Jason that we need a place for other people to go, and maybe that 9 acres is the right spot for that. So I would like to plan for kind of to address that whole thing, and we can come back next week and make a decision on that.
So just to sod that 9 acres would be $100,000. That's not sprinklers. That's just sod. And now, like I said, Joe with Pocatello Sod, super nice guy. When he gave us the quote, when we bid out that 2 acres, just kind of check to see how much that would be, he did give us a discount on that kind of stuff. So these guys they are invested in the venue, and so I think we probably could get a better deal. But if we did the sod down below, just know that project will cost a chunk of money. So, but I don't have any problem putting together a plan and coming back with some options.
And that's what I think we need to do. I mean, this has been a good discussion, an eye-opener on a lot of situations that are going on up there. It was just, like you said, getting some input from the people that put it in originally that we haven't had, and get their experience and knowledge. It's been positive. So, anything else, John? Okay, let's move forward with that then.
All right, I don't know if anybody from Road and Bridge is here. Okay. You guys mind coming up for this next one? So we have been meeting with Idaho Power about utilizing the vacant lot across from the basketball courts up there for paid parking for concerts. And we worked out some general contract lines, and there's really 2 options we can use. One would be, there's 2 roads that currently enter and have access to the back of the property. So the first option would be to fence along the most south road, so we'd include the north road in the inside the parking area. We'd fence along there towards the back, and that would give us enough space for about 300 cars, 350 cars, somewhere in that area. The second option would be to put in a third road down towards the edge of their property that would kind of loop around and give them access. And then we would be able to take an additional acre and a half, which would give us another 150 parking places. Actually, no, it's 300 parking places. So it would give us another 300 parking places, but we would have to build a road, a dirt road that could handle traffic, and that's why Road and Bridges here is that they would be the ones that would have to come in and help us build that road. Now, what that would turn into is about $3,000 for every concert in potential earned revenue by expanding from option 1, which is the 2 lines, to option 2, which is that third road. And so we went out and talked with Road and Bridge just briefly to see if they could do something like that for us and what that would cost. But before I went to Idaho Power and said, let's pursue one option or the other, I wanted to bring it to you guys to see what you felt if working as a partnership. Because we do, regardless, we're going to go in there and we're going to grade out the parking lot and throw some gravel down so it's a gravel parking lot. And then we'll put up some fencing around there. We'll give Idaho Power some access to that, and then we'll be able to use that for every one of our events as a paid monetized parking. Just as a side note, when we looked at, one of the options we looked at for our concert venue is having other groups like Live Nation come in and put concerts there. One of their concerns was our parking situation, so as we talked about this with them, that it actually makes the venue more attractive for other promoters to come to it. So I feel like this option is a good option for us.
What's Idaho Power's ask?
I think it's a pretty good deal. We don't have anything signed yet, but because they would take the upgrades that we would put into the parking lot, and they would give us the first 2 years for free, and then they would give us a lease of $1,000 a year for the next 3 years. So it'd be a 5-year lease that we would get the property for any of our events, and just give them access to it for essentially $3,000 over 5 years. So I think it's a heck of a deal. Their benefit is people parking there illegally right now.
Right.
We would have an attendant there and we would monitor parking. And if there was a power emergency, we'd be able to give them access quickly. So it actually does help them kind of protect their property. Plus we'd throw in some, like I said, we'll go in there and scrub the sagebrush out, and then we'll throw down some gravel for it.
So this third road, it's coming off Chevy Road or?
No, it's got to come off of Fairgrounds Road.
Fairgrounds Road.
Yeah,
Okay.
so with the new overpass, or the new underpass they're putting in right there, they eliminated all access off of Chubbuck Road.
Chevy Road, okay.
So all access has to come
where
in.
the little valley is.
Yeah, so their property runs to that kind of that gully area right there. And so we would just put the road and we'd skirt it. And they said as far as you feel comfortable going. So we just have people come out and look at it, and we'd skirt that and put that road in. Then we'd put temporary fencing. We'd put some fencing around there that would allow us to block off the parking. But like I said, the difference between option 1 and 3 over 5 years could be pretty substantial monetarily. This year we've got 7 concerts confirmed right now. We're still trying to add, I think we have offers on 3 more concerts. So if we even confirm 1 more of those concerts, you're looking at $25,000 in additional revenue potential by just going from option 1 to option 2.
Do you guys have time to do something like that?
Kyle Bremister, Public Works Director. Yeah, we kind of visited with Scott that on the time schedule, we would probably could fit in like the road part, and then we talked about maybe utilizing some trucks on Fridays and Saturdays or something, because we're going to start getting into our road chipping season, so we'll be using all of our stuff. But yeah, I mean, what we can, we'll try to help, but like bringing the gravel in and stuff like that, they might have to kind of haul that when they can too.
And we do have a staff member with the CDL that has done that on the weekends, and so we'll bring them in on Friday, Saturday, and we'll borrow a truck, we'll load them, and we'll run the gravel ourselves.
I don't think it'll be necessarily a cost to the county on the gravel. It depends on what we use, but we do have some reject stuff or pit run kind of materials.
Where would you run it out of?
Fill them.
And we have used some of that reject stuff before. It worked great for us.
So it'd be a close haul for them and stuff like that, but, and if we got a day, then we could up the trucks and run more loads in and stuff like that. That'd probably be their longest period of time, is trying to get the gravel for the parking area.
Well, we just need to have the state bring everything they're gonna take off this northbound lane, haul it up here. So I think it's a good plan. Parking is the number one concern for events that are going on there. I mean, we're utilizing the whole facility. Parking is the biggest problem we have. You got people parking in places they shouldn't be parking. I'd rather have a place and make them pay.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, Mr. Chair, I'd move that we...
John, anything?
Yeah, he answered my question.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve moving forward with option 2 for the Idaho Power field.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
All right, looks like Shanda, you're up.
Morning, Commissioners. Shannon Crystal, Chief Procurement Officer, and I am here with
Scott Crowther, Event Director, Business Manager.
the first item we have before the board today is a recommendation to award concert production services. We went out for a 3-year request for proposals, and we received a bid back, and that has been evaluated. And we would like to recommend that the commission move forward, awarding that RFP to Voltstar Production for a 3-year contract.
Questions?
How do you feel about their, the quality of their production? How do we address that?
So we have, with our contract with Nederlander, they have an in-house production manager. So we have better eyes and ears on what's being provided and what's not. Because typically, if we had concerns about production, it would come to us at the end of a show, usually by the tour's production manager. And so, but I couldn't tell you whether what we provided was what they asked for or not. So we're really relying on the contractor to provide that information. Today, we actually have a person in our team, through our Nederlander contract, that can tell us and will tell us, what's going on, and then that could be adjusted and addressed during those production meetings to ensure that we're meeting the needs of the venue. And so I feel more comfortable addressing those issues because we actually have somebody that can help us to address those issues. Volstar's been great to work with.
Yeah.
Their pricing is extremely reasonable. They are the expert in this region. So I think that they're great. We have a great partnership with Volstar from the last couple of years of using them. But like I said, there are things now that we do have a member of our team that can help us to ensure quality by speaking their language, because I don't understand oftentimes what they're talking about.
Yeah, because that's an issue. We've talked about it now. Different areas of a concert venue sound differently. And we've been to a couple concerts in different areas doing that same thing, and it's interesting how that changes. So can we have some kind of metric in there that gives us a level of production quality? And again, I don't know what that is, but...
So part of it depends on what the tour asks for, right? Because we've been to some shows where we went to the show specifically to see how production was handled in other venues and talked to a production manager. Specifically, Jeff and I went to a show while we were at a conference in Nashville, and they had sound issues there too, and it was kind of the same thing. When you come in on your budget, and we evaluate the budget with the tour manager and the production manager, they're going to say, okay, where are you guys coming in at? And we're going to tell them the number, and then they might be, well, that's too high for us. Let's cut this or cut that or cut this. So the sound quality is impacted by more than just
Right.
the person that's doing it. It could be impacted by the tour itself that is cutting corners, maybe changing up the sound, just to save some money. So, but those are things that, again, I feel like now I have somebody that is on our side that can help us to interpret that, and that's a valuable piece that, you know, I was grateful for with the Niederlander contract, is that they have an in-house production manager that has been doing production on tours for many years, that can read a writer and tell us if we're having the, you know, if we're getting what we need to out of that.
Okay.
And then we can base the sound on it. Our sound stuff will change a little bit this year as we experiment with kind of different cap. You know, if we go to a smaller cap venue, we're really going to bring the sound back so it doesn't have to be blasted out to the back of the grass. So we're going to be doing a little bit of changes with that, and we'll have you know, we'll have some good opportunities to evaluate that this year.
Okay, well, whatever we can do to improve the quality of that, and again, Niederlander will be a big help with that.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
It's interesting how in different venues, you go to the right side and it sounds one way, you go to the left side, it sounds a different way, back, front. That one show we went to was fascinating, how everywhere you went, the sound was a little bit different. So.
Well, and as an example on that, the stacks that are on the front of the building, like our building usually takes, depending on the type of speaker, it can either take 9 stacks or they can split them in half, and it takes 18 speakers to get out to the back of the grass. And if they throw a stack on the side to give better side quality, like in the show we went to, they took those side stacks off. And so if you were directly in front of the stage, you had great hearing. But if you went to the side of the stage, it reduced significantly. I mean, it was crazy how much lower it went. And so there are little things that are industry specific that I think that our guy will be able to help us with.
Okay.
Further questions?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the awarding the contract to Volstar as presented in the bid.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'll get the contract out to Brad this afternoon. The other item I have before the board is a procurement update. We'll start at the top with the detention center landscaping, very similar to the project last year. We're going to mimic that one and go out to bid. We're working on a draft for that, and I'll have that to Levi this afternoon. The assessor's office, the annex we're going to start with the HVAC unit on that one. The whole project is out for architectural services, but as far as procurement goes, we'll break that up into a couple different projects. And so we started out with the HVAC, and that will be drafted and out for review, making sure that we align with architectural services as they come back in. If we move down to facilities with the 2 boilers, that has been submitted for legal review, and we anticipate it going live next week. And if we jump to the jail HVAC project, that has been moved quicker than I thought it would, and that should go out. Levi has identified 5 companies that we can invite locally to participate in that project, and it'll be posted on Bonfire as well. Lastly, the emergency services for Lava Ranch. They had its final posting this week, and then next Tuesday will be our first pre-bid meeting on that, with the following Tuesday being the final one for that project. Are there any questions?
Yes, in additions. 6th Street. Dan, come up here, please. So we met with the contractor and stuff last week. That bid come in at just over $1 million. We have $750,000 that we put towards that project. Talking with them and everything that's going on, we could piecemeal and start taking things here and there and stuff, but then if we want to redo it, it's gonna cost us more money in the long run to do it. So, and Kyle's not gonna be happy, but the last item on our project list was the roof out there for $500,000. So that would be the first item off for me, because I think that this needs to happen out here. They could be here the 1st of June, they said, ready to go, but it would be first taking that off the list right now and moving this project forward, and then seeing what monies we have in our other projects that we're going to save money on, and then bring that back on as the first list. But with the timeline and getting this going, I want you guys' input and thoughts about this.
John?
I have nothing to add.
If we, just a thought thinking, because I really like the idea of deferred maintenance. I also do like this project. It's a good idea. If we didn't do the roof with ARPA funds this year, there are other options moving forward. Next year, we could just say, okay, we're all going to be very committed to getting that roof done and using all PILT or whatever it is. That's not taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
So we won't be increasing the budget that way. So there
That
are,
was-
there are options.
But I just, the timelines and everything that we're pushing and wanting to do, I think that, anyway.
Any leaks in your roof, Kyle?
Not yet. Well, and Dan probably knows where that's at as good as anybody.
Yeah.
Our roof
It's not leaking. We can definitely figure out another way to get her done later on.
So what's your input on the projects and things? What's your-
CM was here yesterday going through everything. I think they can get some of the costs lower and then some of the stuff, I mean, maybe the blueprint isn't, some of the stuff they omitted out of their bid, so their bid will probably come down and then it might come up a little bit again, but I think $1,050,000 is probably the number that we'll probably end up with, and I think that's a great choice, is to hold off on the roof for a minute. Another little piece was the museum called, and they don't want to be in construction mode over the summer. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I don't know if we'll get that one done by the whatever deadlines we're trying to beat, but that's another 150 that might be there if they're not wanting us in there. They went through a rough stretch with that restoration project, and they don't want to jump right back into construction mode, but I don't blame them. But so that's just another project that might be delayed. So.
Okay, and that's what I think, and after talking to Christie and stuff, we can move our monies within projects without a big problem there. And so I think as we get bids in on all these other projects, we're gonna have to adjust anyway.
There's going to be some reductions in some places. This is extra $250,000, I think, is
Yeah.
what you're looking, just over, extra
Yeah.
$250,000. Is there anything that we're looking at there that we really could back out of it to make that closer?
Well, and that's when we was with them, and we met with them, and said, okay, we could take off this cover, we could take out the gazebo, we could do this, and we could do that. But if you come back, because it's part of the engineered project and the work crew being here and the materials, they said it would cost you 40% more to do it later than what it would cost right now to do it.
I think he's asking all the right questions and see if he could reduce that number. I think he's working hard at it.
The thermal panes in the windows,
Right.
it was double. We took that down to a single thermal pane because it's gonna be an area where the doors open anyway. And so the heating in it isn't gonna be the criteria, it's just protection from the weather, so.
So is this extra $250,000, that's with backing out a little bit of stuff, or?
No, well,
Well, we're working on it, trying to get that number to come down.
Okay.
and that's what we've asked him to do, is kind of give us another number. But still, it's one of them deals that we need to, if he's got a guy that can be ready to start work on this in June, or, I mean, otherwise they're gonna be pushed off and put on another project. And so it become a concern to me, to try to move this forward. And I'll just say that just doing the entrance, I mean, I went and got a snow shovel out of the elections last year, and I'd go out and shovel that walkway because we had people falling on a regular basis. And all it takes is one of those incidents to be a major problem for us. Not, but anyway, I think it's a worthwhile project.
I'm good with that.
So I'd like a motion to move forward on that project.
Go for it.
I'll make a motion on this 6th Street renovation, that we take the bid that we had and move forward on it, get the okays going,
Award it to CM Company.
award it to CM Company, and if we need extra funds, we'll take it out of the other ARPA projects to meet the original $1,050,000 5 or what, or $1,000,000.005 or,
So you're specifically talking about taking out of the roof?
right now, yes. And that's what I say, that it's one of the deals that we're gonna come up with extra monies and others, but at least we've identified where the funds are coming from.
Yeah, well, no, we are, and you're right, we are gonna come up with extra monies, and plus with him talking about how we can look at doing the PILT next year.
Yeah.
If we don't get enough savings, then there will be options.
Yeah.
And we'll just have to make it a high priority like we did the jail roof.
Okay, we have a motion, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. And stay right there, Dan.
Okay. Well, good morning, Dan Kendall, Facilities Director. Just a monthly update. As far as maintenance goes, it's been a pretty quiet time. Everything seems to be going well. The fire department's coming back tomorrow for their inspection, and we,
They going in Braden's office.
I'll make sure they're extended.
okay.
Oh, yes.
So,
We're good?
I'm sorry.
You're good.
We are scheduled to do this bid opening at 10 o'clock,
Okay.
so we have to do it on time. Okay, this is Bannock County's invitation to bid road striping materials and labor. Bid opening is May 16th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Solicitation, invitation to bid to supply materials and apply traffic line striping to various roads within Bannock County. One addendum has been issued in response to questions received. Bid bonds will acknowledge that a performance and payment bond may be required of the successful bidder prior to signing a contract, but is not required as part of their bid. We'll open the bids, we'll read aloud to acknowledge the response from the individual person or business name and bid amount. As a reminder, reading the bid amount does not confirm a bid is responsive. Further review will be performed to ensure each bid conforms to requirements. And we'll make a motion after the bids are open to submit and take them under advisement for legal review and bid compliance. And all bidders will receive a notice of the project and who it was awarded to.
Chairman, we have received one submission, and it is sealed. With your permission, I'll release that.
Yes, please.
Commissioner Hopper, if you'll refresh your screen.
I show one vendor, and it is All-Star Striping, and I have no conflict of interest. Open the data again, the submission data.
It should open in an Excel file list. The bid schedule, the data submitted.
I do not see that. Go backwards a little bit.
Try the bid schedule.
The
It
bid
should do the
schedule?
same. Yeah,
Okay.
it'll do the same thing.
Bid schedule PDF.
They've broken out into the same options we have.
All right, I have bid schedule PDF opened up from All Star Striping. The total bid is $829,850.
Sorry, Commissioner Hub. So this one we broke out into 3 different options. Not all of those options will be awarded.
Oh, okay.
So we'll need to read each of those options.
Okay, so option 1 has 3 different options: yellow, white, and glass beads, and application labor. So, all right, so the yellow traffic paint, $128,250. The white traffic paint, $41,850. The glass beads, $38,304. Application labor for option 1 is $196,000. Option 2 is materials only. Yellow traffic paint, $141,075. White traffic paint, $46,035, and glass beads only, $42,336. And the last option was for application labor only, which was $196,000. That is it. Mr. Chair, I'd move that we accept the bids and take them into consideration.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Looks like they got a little over, huh? We had 155,000 on striping. That's what it says here. Another discussion, huh? All right. We'll go back to Daniel.
No major problems. The fire department's coming tomorrow. IT's been working with us. We got a box load of surge protectors, and I think the main problems are we have surge protectors plugged into more surge protectors and more surge protectors. And so we went around this morning thinking we were going to knock them all out, and we got about halfway and ran out of time, so we'll tackle it again before the fire department gets here tomorrow. But we were worried about not having enough surge protectors purchased, and we ended up with more surge protectors than we started with. So
Oh, wow.
we'll finish that up tomorrow and let the fire department come through and tell us how we did.
So with the fire department, the alarms that we was getting over in the annexes, that been solved?
They're not going off. When we do that remodel, we need to do an alteration to let the air out of that system. That's the problem, is the way that attic is designed, that there's air in that system up there. And when the air and the water start pushing against each other, it's setting off. It thinks the water is running, but it's really the air moving, and that's what's setting it off. And to fix it, we just made it so it wasn't so sensitive. That's not the right way to fix it, but we're gonna get it right. But it was going off. It got to the point where it was going off almost every day. We were just silencing it, and that's not the right way to fix it either. So
Yeah.
we will get that fixed and get that air bled off of there. But currently, there's no way to get it out.
Okay.
But fire department's been great to work with, so very helpful. We replaced that section of sewer line in the tunnel. That seems to have fixed that. It was a 4-foot section that was broken, and so we jackhammered up the floor and replaced that part, and it seems to be working well, so that's great.
I think we paid for that today.
Okay, yeah. Kind of shifting over into summer mode. Boiler is off and drying out, and we're switching over to the air conditioning, and everything's running well. And then yesterday, we went to lower the flag for Peace Officer Day, and the flag pole is broken. So we're gonna get up there this weekend and get that rope replaced and get it working again before Memorial Day hits. Right now, we can't get the flag to go up or down.
Okay.
So we'll get that taken care of. You might have saw the cones out there, or the bucket truck was out there this morning, but we will try to get that this weekend. Moving into project mode, it's a little busier. Starting with the ones that we got wrapped up since I talked to you last. We did move family court services downstairs, and we're a little bit shorthanded, so the extra help, Jason and Carrie have saved us on a couple of them. But moving them down went really well, and then we got HR moved into their little spot, and again, Carrie and Jason saved us on that one. And
Well, you know where good resources are now.
yeah.
When you throw out stupid requests, then you better be willing to put up or shut up.
There you go.
We cleaned out his vault, and it was a lifesaver because we had no place to move all that stuff, so it really worked out perfectly. It must have meant to be, I think, and it went really smooth and just in the nick of time, I think. He got moved in there yesterday, so. Ag extension, kind of the same thing. We got, the interior is done. We have a new kitchen floor, new bathroom flooring, and new carpet and new paint. Up there, Terry Johnson's been super helpful of helping us even move furniture, and so she's been great. The DMV counter, we finished up pretty much yesterday, and Candace and Anita over there kind of saved the day. They're working with the state, getting the computers moved, and they should be here tomorrow to get the computer set back up. But basically 99% complete on that counter. It turned out really good.
Looks good. Looks real good.
I think the girls are pretty
Yeah, if
dang
you haven't
happy.
been over there, you need to stop by. Check it
Yeah.
out.
I saw it look good.
Yeah, it was a tight schedule and it went perfectly. The ADA doors over at elections are done, and Julie kind of handled that one, so I have to thank her for that one, and it went really good. So starting tomorrow, I'm going to head over to Juvie and get that project started. I do have some community service workers that need some hours done, and it worked out perfectly where they're going to come help me do a little bit of work, and so we have a week to get that one done. But should go good. I hope the court is closed for the week, so it's basically our only time to get in there and make a bunch of noise and dust and dirt and get that one done.
Good.
And the second we get that one done, we'll head to Downey and get those get that foundation poured. The sonotubes came in. We actually pre-built the rebar cages that go in them. I actually have them over there at Lander stored in a room, so it's probably going to take us 5 trips to get everything down there, but got to get that done in the month of June so they can get that building here.
So, have we pre-ordered concrete? Do we know? I mean, that's a challenge too, is getting
Yeah.
concrete. So
Yeah,
that
I'll
needs to
probably
be-
start making calls today and see if even if contractors are getting preference. Maybe I can hook up with one of our contractor friends and have them order it for us.
Get a date anyway,
Yeah.
set in there.
It's 40 yards of concrete.
And then, I was down there last night. So we've dug out 3 sides. Is the 4th side open? The front edge?
Road and Bridge built themselves a bridge basically to get the backhoe into the middle, because there was so much rock and stuff that was piled in the center. So they built a bridge across, and so they could clean all that out. So when we'll go around, and when we get to that spot, they're going to come back and dig that part out.
Okay.
Because if a concrete truck needs to get, they will have to get in the middle. So that's kind of their bridge
Okay.
in there. Because I don't think there's no other way to pour it. I think you pretty much have to drive down the middle.
You're gonna have to with that
Yeah.
one building right there next to it.
Yeah, they're both really close. But it's 40 yards of concrete. I think we're end up needing more gravel there for in between the sonotubes. I didn't realize Marsh Valley was full of rocks. I thought Marsh Valley was sand and dirt.
Look at my garden.
But it's gonna be a ton of work, and I bet we're down there for the most of June.
We got 2 good people.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Got extra shovels.
Very
so-
experienced.
That's right.
But yeah, that's what I got going on. If you have any questions. But
And then also down there, during the windstorm last week, where the buildings had come apart, they had the roof had problems. Scott just told Alex to take that part off that was there, but it's lifted up, part of the roof there on that other building.
I didn't hear that.
So I didn't hear it till last night,
Oh,
so.
one of the barns, or
One of the buildings we talked about condemning,
that doesn't surprise me at all.
that part of it that was still
Yeah.
attached there.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So there were some concerns there.
okay.
But we got a little time, but when you get some time, we need to go down there and, because we talked about the bathroom that's on the back side of that one building.
Yeah.
And if that would still be able to be utilized during the fair?
Yeah, I
If
think,
we blocked off the door so you can get into the main building.
I think so. I think it really is an add-on.
It
So I
looked
think
like
it'd be
it.
easily, there's a door and you could lock it and keep them out of there.
But I told Alex to get a hold of you if he has any concerns on what we need to do and what direction to go.
So part of the metal roofing started to come off?
Yeah, it lifted up.
Okay. And the existing part of that building that had fallen down that's still there, that needs to come off as well. That's actually lowered those existing roofs down. You can actually see a bow where it's, wasn't designed to hold the weight of that building and it's pushed both of them down.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Questions?
Nope, that's
All
good.
right. Appreciate it.
Dave?
Morning,
Good morning.
Dave Martinez, Public Defender.
Janelle Christensen, Public Defenders.
So we put together a list, which Braden has a copy, and she's giving you one now. It is not broken out into what was bought with the grant and what wasn't. And that's, we have, some of the things that we coded have been changed. So we haven't had enough time to compare Christie's list to ours to see which is which. Now, the computers, I have one computer that's special that I know was bought with grant money, but other than that I'm trying to develop a program with, but other than that, they're replacing all our computers. So, I mean, those would be available to you. The laptops, almost all of them will be available because the state probably won't approve those anyway.
Okay.
The desks, the old judge desk is the only one that's,
That antique,
yes, yeah,
worth a lot of money?
except for the plywood that's been attached to it.
That's
And
just
it's falling
extra-
apart at the
extra.
bottom.
Extra, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only one that's county, that wasn't bought with grant money. The office chairs, they're all grant money. The conference chairs, the black ones that are around our conference table, those are all grant. The 9 that says, the 4 green, 2 brown, 3 hard brown, those are all county. And the client cushion chairs are a mix. The client chairs hard are county. The printer, I don't know what they're gonna do with that. That's a lease. So, as far as I'm concerned, they should just take over the lease, I think, but I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Scanners are a mix. They've been bought with, through both funds. And the printers are the same, the phones are county. The conference room table was grant. And the sundries, I put in there so that I can get you all the numbers, but it's like the little office heaters and filing cabinets and stuff like that.
They was wanting this by when?
We have till the 23rd to get everything into them, and I think Dave's got a pretty good handle now. Like he said, Christie gave us a sheet that payroll had run, and they've been tracking some of this stuff too. So we didn't get that in to the packet on time, but we do have an idea. of
She
where
talked to me
you're going.
yesterday about that too.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can have that to you by Monday.
Yeah. I know what this is public defense going to the state. They just want a list of what is counties, what is bought by grants, state grants, and so that they have an idea of what their obligations are gonna be a little bit.
Yeah,
Payoffs.
I think part of the concern is that, they wanted to know what state money bought furniture because, as I've told you before, they based their appropriation on 2020, not taking into account the raises around the state that have happened and not taking into account the fact that everyone in the state was paid differently. And they did it in 2020, a year that there were no trials because we were in COVID. So I think their request is deficient by probably 10 or 12 million. So I think they're already planning a supplemental request. So,
No,
I think just buying the computers all at one time was a tremendous amount of money,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, well,
So then theoretically, in October, you guys are getting all new stuff if we make this swap out.
Well, just the computers.
Yeah, okay.
All the furniture was bought with grant money, so I think
Yeah,
they're
okay.
gonna say, since we bought that,
Okay,
I mean, that's my expectation.
okay.
I had a conversation with Eric about that, and I mentioned, have you differentiated, has anybody differentiated what was grant and what wasn't? And he said, no, I hadn't thought of that, so.
yeah. So you're the problem.
Yeah, that's what I get for thinking.
Well, and that's, child protection wasn't thought out either
I
to
know.
start with, and there's a lot. I've been meeting with, I met last Wednesday with the chairman of all the districts. We have another meeting next Wednesday. And they did give us the two lawyers that, I found out the two lawyers that are gonna be assigned to
Mhm.
our area. And so
Yeah, I know.
There's
Yeah.
all those things that are happening there's time limit is very short.
I know, and I don't even think I don't know that they had the job description done yet.
It isn't.
Yeah,
It isn't.
so, and then.
Our recommendations are supposed to be in tomorrow.
It's a concern for me because I'm going to be out for a week at the end of, or a week and a half at the end of this month, and then I'm going to be gone a week in July, so, they've,
Yeah. That's part of the conversations we've been having.
yeah.
So.
so.
All right. Well, thank you for all your work on this.
Yeah, and then, and I will continue to do what I've done too. I know that you hadn't planned on paying the lease, and I didn't think necessarily that you would have to, since that was paid out of the grant. But it's in the statute, and what I have done, so even when we went through that like 7% kick in inflation, is I've been telling them that since we pay it all in the beginning of the year, why don't you not do CPI on us?
Mhm.
And they haven't for 4 years, so.
Well, and that ended up being a buy-off, because there's only 2 counties that actually lease facilities for it.
Yeah.
The rest are in-house, so it doesn't affect them the same way
Yeah.
as it does Coeur d'Alene and us.
Yeah,
And that was a buy-off. I mean, they says, we get this and you guys pay this. So that's a discussion we can have further down the road with them.
Yeah.
But I don't see any way out of it either after Association of Vital County, AIC.
and it's gonna change in a lot of ways too, because some of the offices aren't properly staffed, so when they can get up to full staff, they're not gonna have enough room anyway. So they're gonna end up having to form new leases, and I think if they're getting new leases, the state will have to probably own those, if it's new. So, I will continue to share information as I get it, but it's been difficult on us. We lost more people in the last 2 weeks.
Oh.
And some of it's concern over the fact that they haven't even told us what our people are gonna make. And the insurance is gonna be considerably more expensive. So, people are nervous,
I don't blame them.
understandably, yeah.
Big part of life,
Yeah.
your employment.
Well, I spend as much time with her as I do at home, so. So at least I have that blessing.
Is it a blessing?
Good recovery.
Well said.
Good recovery.
On the record, it's a blessing.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, sir, unless there's something you need from me.
No, like I said, I pass that on to Braden to kind of make sure that we get it all set in and stuff, so I appreciate everybody working together.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll give those forms too.
Yeah, and I'm doing the phone list because as I understand it, Adam was going to release the numbers that we already have, which I think is crucial. And our clients are going to be freaked out enough without having to suddenly not know their attorney's phone number. It's going to be panic-inducing, so. I'm putting together a list of that as well. So,
A lot of little things that people didn't think about.
I'm aware. Well, remember I was at the IAC meeting and told you about about the child protective stuff. I was concerned about that from the outset because that's a significant amount of money and I don't think they had taken into account how expensive that is. And to leave the county with that would have been unjust.
Well, Eric wouldn't have been approved.
I know. I know, as I understand, he was held up a little bit.
He was.
Yeah.
So,
And, you know, and I think it just makes sense. I mean, and all the numbers that we've been submitting all this time included that. So I'm glad we're at the right place now. Ish.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Quick discussion on the lander.
Do you want me to
Get it
take
done.
that? Yeah.
Why is it not sold yet?
Okay.
We haven't.
We gotta have a meeting. So, I talked with Primetime Auctions, I've talked with Brian in legal about different options and what the county's responsibilities are as far as, do we need to go out to bid, and if we're going to list it with a realtor, how do we find that person? And ultimately, I think what we've come up with is the option to, we don't really have to go out to bid per se to list it. So if we were gonna list it, we could just choose somebody and list it. But we use Primetime Auctions. Stacy has a real estate license. When I called her to talk with her about it in generalities, she said her suggestion would be to auction it off. And it'll be typical auction contract. We'll set a minimum, so we need to decide if we want to have an appraisal done to set our minimum, or if we want to just let her suggest, have her do a market analysis and suggest what opening bid would be.
What would be the least expensive route there?
To do that.
To have her do it?
Just have her do a market analysis, and then based on what other properties have sold that are similar, set a minimum opening bid.
Can we get by with that? Does that count as our appraisal? Because
We don't have to do an appraisal.
Yeah, we don't have to do an appraisal to
I thought we
sell it.
did.
We do if we're gonna
buy
purchase.
it. Oh, all
To
right.
purchase, we
Sorry,
do.
I was backwards.
So we can just have her do that, give us a suggestion when she gives us the contract to sign, and then she'll put it on there for an auction for as many days as we want. So if we want to have a 60-day auction or a 30-day auction, whatever the case is, and then just go from there. And then if we don't get a minimum bid on it, which I'm sure we will, but if we don't get that minimum bid, then we can go another route.
And have the drug testers been found a home yet, do you know?
You know what, I'm not sure. I'll talk with Jason Dye and see.
And even if they haven't,
That just
We-
gives them a date in the
we'll,
sand.
we'll extend, or we'll just say we'll have it done at their facility.
Mm-hmm, right,
And, I mean, we've had that property sitting there and not doing anything with it
right.
for forever. And then the other part of that, I wouldn't mind having Stacy do that. But also, I wouldn't mind Anita sending one of her appraisers over there. Just,
Oh,
I'd
yeah,
like
just
to
to
know
see.
a little bit of what the ballpark is, just a little comparison.
Yeah, sure. I'll talk with Anita about that too. So do you want me to have Stacy prepare a contract for that and get it over to you to look at? And
Yeah.
I'll send it to legal first and
Yep.
then bring it to you? Okay, I'll have her do that.
Anybody have heartache with that?
Just that it's taken us this long to get this far.
All right, here we are.
All right. Let's go ahead and do that in a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we authorize the clerk to work with Primetime Auction to put the Lander building up for bid.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Everybody else is here for this other part? Come on up. Discussion regarding public works in the landfill. Is that not on there?
I do not see it on the online
It
version.
wasn't in the packet. I think it got moved this morning to an actual meeting item.
Interview planning council.
So is it an updated packet? or-
No, it wasn't in the packet. Christie said that she was told this morning to put it as its own separate meeting.
Who was she told, but
I thought she said you told her.
I didn't talk to her about this at all this morning.
Let me call her. But I asked her the same thing earlier during the meeting, but
I
did
just
we
told
miss?
her, I just told her, I thought it was on the agenda,
It's
because
in my packet.
It is in your packet?
it's in the packet, but it isn't on the agenda?
It's not on the agenda.
Okay. So we can't have this meeting.
It's,
Not gonna happen.
okay, not on
It
the,
is in the packet. It said at 10:10 a.m. on this, but it's not. So, with that being said, we're not having that part of this the discussion today. And we are at recess till 11 a.m.